If you're a reader of any kind and you generally enjoy reading books, you probably dealt with the term reading slump, where you just generally don't want to read and nothing interests you, and there's absolutely several reasons why you may be in a reading slump. You can pretty easily identify reading slumps with, well, you pick up a book, you try and read it, you take it down, you pick up another book, you read it, and then you take it down, and you just keep going in this awful cycle, and reading has just not become enjoyable to you anymore. And there's several reasons why this could be happening. Maybe you just haven't been enjoying reading lately, that's completely fine. Maybe you've become really busy, etc, etc. There's a bunch of reasons why you're not enjoying reading at the moment. So in today's video, I really wanted to talk about the causes of the reading slump and how you can fix your reading slump and get out of it, because I'm actually currently dealing with this, so I actually think I can talk about this because I think it's important. So let's just jump straight into the video. You don't have to know the cause of your reading slump. I really think it's important when you have a problem of any kind. It doesn't have to be reading, it can be literally anything in life. You need to know the core problem. It's kind of like trying to fix a car. Like, you change the wheels, but it's actually just the oil that needs to be changed. You know, like, you need to figure out the problem first before you try and solve it. And of course, there can be a lot of reasons why you might be in a reading slump. Maybe you are dealing with a reading burnout. You've been reading too much because maybe you felt pressure to read more because you've been in a time where you didn't read much because you were busy with life, so you feel like you have to read a ton, and you're stressed with all these videos talking about how to speed read and how to read books faster, and you're just like, oh, I want to read more and more and more, and you're pressured by YouTubers who make these book videos where they read over 100 books a year. Like, you're just stressed about it, and then you read too much and you end up in a reading burnout zone. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and that's just what happens. And sometimes really the best thing when you're in a reading burnout is to just not read for a little while. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but you know. Of course, you can also just be you're too busy. Your life has been getting in the way and you don't really feel like reading right before bed because you'd rather watch Game of Thrones. I've been dealing with that issue lately because I started watching Game of Thrones. It could also just be simply that you're just so uninspired by the books you've been reading lately. Maybe you're trying challenging yourself to read a more complex book, but you're just not vibing with it. And that's okay too. You might also just be reading books that isn't good written. Colin Hoover. What? It could also be that you're just trying a new genre and you're not enjoying the genre, and you know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with trying new things with your reading thing, but this could be reasons why you are in a reading slump, because you're just not actively enjoying reading books. And of course, reading is a hobby and it's something a lot of people enjoy, and like, there's a lot of people who make money off of reading, which is insane. And I don't think there's anything wrong about reading fading out of your life every now and then coming back, but obviously you're not here for that. You're here to learn how to enjoy reading again. So let's jump straight into it. Take it slow. Whenever I have fallen behind on something, I've always wanted to start like going to the complete extreme. A great example of this could be going to the gym. Maybe I've slacked off the gym for a couple of weeks. Like, my mindset would be like, oh, now we're gonna have to go 6 times a week every single week and do intense exercise every single day. That's my mindset, and that is just not ideal. So when it comes to really anything you've fallen behind, you need to take it slow. There's absolutely no need to rush books or just anything you want to get back on track with. It's just going to cause another burnout, and it's just going to make you feel even worse. It's really, really difficult for me to get started on something I used to be really good at, and now I've fallen out behind and I'm just slacking off. I really, really hate getting back on track because it feels like I failed the first time and I don't want to deal with that start again. And it's even worse if it's like something completely new I want to start on. It's even worse because I hate that learning curve of learning the new thing. So here's my take on what to do when you have to take it slow. You have to take it as slow as you need to. Do not worry about hitting your certain reading goal every day. If you set one, you don't have to hit a reading goal every single day. I think the most important part is reading whenever you're like, oh, I actually want to read now. Then read. Like, you're not trying to force the reading on you, you're just reading whenever you feel like reading. Take your time, pick up a book, lay in a comfortable place, and just read. Don't set a timer unless you feel like a timer is gonna actively help you, then maybe set a timer. Just do whatever works best for you. I think timers are great, but they can also be kind of intuitive. So it just depends on what you need for that day. And if you want a simple guidance, I would say stick to at least one chapter. And that's like roughly 8 to 10 pages, so per book. Obviously, I know that really varies from book to book, but I would generally say make sure you at least read a chapter, because you don't want to be in the middle of a book, especially if it's more complex. Like some certain books you can definitely stop in the middle if you want to. I generally advise to try and at least read one chapter. Get a Kindle. When I first started out reading, the first thing I bought was a Kindle, and it was one of the best investments I have ever made. Because when I, in the past, tried to become a reader, I would just go to the library, pick up a book I thought was interesting, read maybe 10 pages and then stop reading and then give it back to the library. And now I've actually transitioned to physical books, and I do sometimes read on my Kindle, but I actually prefer reading on physical books now. But I really think the Kindle takes away the big ass hassle of reading in general. I was recently in a mini reading slump, and I'm currently also dealing with another reading slump, and I really feel like the Kindle really helped me, because it's just so much easier to read on a Kindle most of the time, and as I said, it takes away a lot of the hassle from reading a physical book. So if you are dealing with this, you might want to try and read on a Kindle. Or maybe even on your phone, because you're just taking away that hassle. I wouldn't recommend the phone for a lot of different reasons, because I really like separating things. Like my Kindle is reading, my phone is for other stuff, so I really encourage that. But if you don't have anything else, like, your phone will do absolutely fine for this. You can obviously also try an iPad or a tablet if you have that as well, which I would definitely recommend more than your phone. Reread a book. You liked the book once, so you're probably gonna enjoy reading it again. For me personally, I'd definitely be picking up a 5-star read that I really enjoyed and just rereading the book. You might not even finish it. Maybe you just read a part that you really liked in the book. Maybe you just read half the book. Maybe you start in the middle and you just read the last few chapters. Whatever it is, you might pick like your favorite part of the book and read that because you really enjoyed it. Or you maybe reread the entire book. Who knows? Rereading a book can really regain this whole love for reading, because you really loved this book back in the day when you were reading it, so rereading that is just gonna be like, oh my god, I love reading. Let's pick up another book. Start a reading schedule every single day. I always really like dividing my day into 3 parts of my day. Like I have my morning, midday, and nighttime. And I really want to find a time in here where I can add some reading. Now this will vary from day to day. I do have my preferred time to be reading, but that's just not realistic. I really enjoy trying to read a chapter in the morning whenever I can, because you know, reading is such a relaxing experience, and if you have a very chaotic mind or very chaotic morning, you're probably really gonna enjoy reading in the morning because it's just so relaxing. I was trying to think, can I include a little bit of reading before I go to bed, or will I need to read a little bit in the morning, or do I have to set a certain time in my midday where I can be reading for an hour? Personally for me, I really like reading between 2 to 3 p.m. Do I follow it every single day? No, but it's still a great timing for me because it works so well, and it's like midday, and usually that's kind of like I've already had lunch and now I want like a longer break where I can just read and enjoy my time. So I'm just gonna be looking for my phone for this, but here are some ideas of when you can potentially be reading. So here is my idea. You can read in bed before you get out of bed in the morning. Spend 10 minutes in the morning reading. Set out an hour of your workday to read. You can also read when you get home from work / other activities. So if you were at work from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m, you might try and schedule a little bit of reading before you do other things. And of course you can also read before bed. And obviously these are just examples and you kind of just have to schedule them based on what works best for you, but try and including a bit of reading every single day. Of course I think it's important to try and set out a longer window to read, but generally trying to find 10 to 15 minutes to read every single day is super beneficial. Read a series! This might be super difficult if you're not in a series at the moment, but I really think series are such a great idea. So as I was saying, I'm currently reading the HOMEASY series and I really really enjoy it because I already know the story, I already know the characters, I'm not introduced to a bunch of new characters, and when you're reading a series, especially the first book is kind of like an introduction, depending on how long the series is, of course. But again, I always feel like even if it's a trilogy, I always think the first book is very much like an introduction in a way, at least like the first half of the book in my opinion. In most cases, not all cases, but in a lot of cases it is like that. Another thing you can also do is if you read a book, you can Google books similar to it. I know it's not really the same as a series, but if you're currently reading a bunch of dystopian books, maybe you Google books similar to dystopian books. Like if you just finished Hunger Games, maybe you want to read Divergent, etc, etc. So that's gonna be it for today's video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, maybe you want to check out my other video about how I only read on my Kindle. I know that doesn't really fit the title anymore because now I actually prefer physical books, but I still think it's a really good video talking about why I really think the Kindle is a great investment. If you liked the video, please consider liking the video, comment down below what you thought of the video, and if you want to see more of my cute face, maybe you want to subscribe to the channel as well. Please remember to be kind to yourself and others, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!